What's up, you guys? You're tuned into the Cutting Room Knife Review. I'm your host, Garrett, and today we're taking a look at the Golden Designworks Slim. This is a much anticipated new release from Golden Designworks. I just got it a few days ago, and I've been loving this little knife. It is what I'd call a subcompact knife, although it cuts and really hangs with a medium-sized knife. It's one of the lightest knives I've ever carried. It's 2.8 ounces. But once again, it cuts and it hangs with knives that are much bigger than it. I think that this is going to be a hit of a knife when people really get their hands on it. It's a very comfortable knife in the hand, and it is an incredibly small knife in the pocket. This is a knife that you could wear with your pajamas or basketball shorts or a business suit, and you're just going to forget that it's in your pocket. It's not going to have a bunch of your pocket space taken up. It's not a pocket eater. It's a really cool design that carries very small but cuts very big. So let's break down the materials and overall specifications of this knife. What's up, guys? I'm Garrett. You're tuned in to the Cutting Room Knife Review, where I review knives, blades, and all things sharp. Please like and subscribe so I can keep bringing you more killer knife content. So the overall length of the Slim is going to be 7.61 inches in total. The blade length is 3.36 inches. And the cutting edge of the knife is 2.93 inches. So for such a small knife, it has such a large effective cutting edge. It's pretty remarkable what Golden Designworks has done with this knife. The width of the blade at the thickest point is 1 inch. The width of the handle at the thickest point is 1 inch. The length of the handle is 4.25 inches. And the grip width of the handle is 0.79 inches. Now, that seems really small. It really does. But hear me out, you guys. This knife carries very comfortably. I hold this knife and use it very comfortably. I have a big hand. I have between a size large and a size extra large glove. My hand is not small. But this knife fits in it very well. I've been able to use it at work and not feel like I am completely losing the knife in my hand. It is remarkable how little this can be, yet how comfortable it can be. I had some people on Reddit saying that, oh, this looks like it's an uncomfortable knife. It's not. It is a small knife, but it is remarkably easy to carry, even though the dimensions are so small. Now, the weight of this knife, you guys, is 2.8 ounces. You are just going to forget this thing is in your pocket. It's pretty amazing. They've done that by milling out the scales of the titanium, keeping the blade ultra thin. But this knife doesn't feel flimsy. Even at the light weight that it is, it feels like it's tough and it's going to hold up to a lot of abuse. It's really, I'm going to keep saying it's really pretty remarkable. The overall thickness of this knife is 0.47 inches. And the overall thickness with the clip is 0.64 inches. The stock thickness of the blade is 0.118 inches, and the thickness behind the edge is going to be 15 thousandths of an inch. Now, the materials used to make this Golden Designworks Slim are going to be 6Al4V titanium for the handles. The scales are these really cool titanium milled scales, and they have this milling that goes in different directions, providing a really good, nice grip for the fingers. It's comfortable and it's not smooth, but it's not rough either on the hands. It's just grippy. That's either going to come in a DLC coating, like the smoke, or the slate finish is glass blasted and anodized. It has all titanium hardware. And if you look at this knife, you guys, the show side has no screws. It has all just the premium, nice side of the hardware. The screws are all on the lock side, be it the thumb stud, the pivot, the lock bar. The clip is on the inside, and then the scale screw. It's really cool when knife companies do this. I really like it. I think it provides a really clean look for the show side of this knife. Now, this knife runs on ceramic caged ball bearings. It is incredibly smooth, just like you'd come to expect from Golden Designworks, just like you'd come to expect from the OEM that made this, which is Bestech. It has really good action on it. The detent is nice. It's a ceramic ball bearing detent. It's not overly heavy. It's not overly soft. It's right in the middle. And it provides a real nice flick. It takes some pressure to get it to release. And once it releases, it flies out, snaps and locks into place, and the lockup is dead solid. What we have for the blade is going to be CPM MagnaCut. And we all know CPM MagnaCut. It's incredibly stainless. It's a high-end steel. Pretty much the only steel that hangs with MagnaCut is going to be Van X as far as stainlessness. I think that's the word. Stainlessness of the steel, the lack of it being tarnishable. It's not going to patina. It's not going to rust. It's going to stay really nice pretty much regardless of the environment you're in. MagnaCut takes a really nice edge. It's pretty easy to sharpen MagnaCut. And it's fairly durable. It's kind of like the, jack of all trades of knife steels. It's why it's used in the Spyderco Salt series. It's why Chris Reeves uses CPM MagnaCut for all their knives now. If you have a high-end knife, more than likely you're going to see it in CPM MagnaCut. It just makes sense. It's a durable knife steel that is pretty easy to take care of. It's pretty easy to sharpen. It's pretty durable, and it takes a hell of an edge. It's really win-win with everything. And like I said, the only knife steel that really hangs with it is going to be Van X Super Clean, but you're going to see mostly CPM MagnaCut in the knives that are coming out these days. And Bestech does a great job with their MagnaCut. It has an HRC of 61 to 63, which is just fine for MagnaCut. The really cool thing about this knife now is that it has this amazing little fusion lock. The fusion lock is also found on the Golden Designworks Caliber. So the Slim and the Caliber both have the same locking mechanism, which is a button-activated frame lock. Much like the Spyderco Sage 6 and Spyderco Smock, which has a button-activated compression lock, which would activate in the back here. We have a button-activated frame lock, which activates the frame in the front. So what we have is all the sturdiness of a frame lock with all the fidgetability of a button lock, and honestly, the safety of a button lock. The thing about it is if you have to put your thumb in the travel of the blade, it's not as safe. Most of us aren't dropping blades onto our thumb. That's the truth. You really aren't. But if we are fidgeting with our knives, it could happen. I have a couple knives, like my Rask, my Custom Knife Factory Evo 3, that are guillotine drops. They will shut on your fingers. And I've had marks on my thumbnail to prove it. What the button activation is doing is taking your fingers out of the blade path. And it also allows for a really easy drop of the blade. And we can sit here and fidget all we want with the knife. So I think that the locking mechanism that Golden Designworks is using is really innovative. It's really fun. It's probably one of the best locking mechanisms that's out on the market today. I think it's even better than the button activated compression lock that you're seeing from Spyderco, and now I believe Vosteed uses it as well. Let's talk about opening the knife. The fun part about knives, fidgeting with them. So what we have is we have thumb studs, and it's my first Golden Designworks that has thumb studs. I really like the thumb studs on this. It is a teardrop shape, which I think is pretty unique. The teardrop shape not only fits in with the frame of the knife both ways, it fits in really nicely Let me see if that'll focus. Fits in really nicely with the scales. It kind of, aesthetically travels together, but it's really nice on the finger. It's really easy to flick this. And it's easy to flick it reverse flick style too with my forefinger. We also have a front flipper, just like we do on the Caliber, but the Slim does not have a reverse flick. There's no rear flipper back here, which I don't mind. I'm not a big rear flipper guy. I'm really not a big front flipper guy. You're gonna find me using the thumb studs or the Spidey hole more than anything else. I tend to use the thumb studs for my thumb, and I tend to use the blade hole or Spidey hole for my reverse flick. Now, one of the things that the Slim has, and Golden Designworks really listen to their customers, because if you remember the Caliber, the one complaint about the Caliber was that you couldn't slow roll with a thumb. But look at it, guys. Boom. Slow roll with a thumb all day long. They went out and made it just a little bit bigger, which is crazy because it's a tiny little knife, but somehow they made the dimensions just big enough that my big ol' hand can get in there, and this big thumb of mine can slow roll the blade all I want. And we were able to use the finger hole on the Caliber to do the flicking, but we were not able to use the thumb for that. I really couldn't get my thumb in here. I would just sit here and miss all the time. Not with this. Every single time with this, I'm able to slow roll, feel the detent, feel the ball bearing, feel the smoothness of the knife. I really like it. It is not only a pleasurable experience, it's really nice that Blaze Golden listened to his customers. That was a big gripe about the Caliber, which was an absolutely knockout of a knife. And the one gripe that everybody had was they couldn't slow roll with their thumb. Well, guys, you can slow roll with your thumb with the Slim. That's really cool. I just like it. Now, the Slim is tiny. I talked to people on Reddit when I first put pictures up of this knife, and one of the first comments I got was, "Man, that looks uncomfortable." And another person chimed in, "Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be comfortable in my hand." And looking at it, when I first opened this up, I went, "Holy smokes, this thing's small." But when you put it in your hand and you choke up on it, I swear you guys, it's comfy. For me, it's comfy. Being able to put my finger right in the choil, and my forefinger rides a little bit higher. If you look, the choil rides a little bit higher up here than it does down here, and it kind of keeps your hand at an angle, which is great for cutting. So my hand kind of cants back this way when I'm holding on to it. It's thicker right here than it is down here, and that gives me a lot of control with this pinch of my hand right here. So I hold it choked up. Now, I can hold it back here. I can. It's not as comfortable, and I don't really feel like the knife's made to be held back here. But if you look, there's enough handle there. It's not like the small and cozy from Chris Reeves where my pinky's falling off the end like back here. There's enough handle for my size large to extra large hand to fit without choking up on the knife. Do I ever hold it like that? No. I hold it choked up. I hold it with my finger in the choil. It has nice jimping right along the top of the spine. Really cool feature, really comfortable. Like I said earlier, we have this milling in two different directions on the scales, and that provides a ton of grip, both directions, both moving this way and moving this way. I'm not sure if that was the intention, whether it was design or if it just happened to work out that way, but I feel like it holds in my hand really well. Can you pinch grip it? You sure can. Sure can. It is very slicey. This is, not going to be a stabby knife. You're not going to be poking too much stuff with it. It's pretty much a Wharncliffe blade. It has a little bit of a belly, which is untraditional for a Wharncliffe. It just bulges out just this tiniest little bit. So I don't know if that makes it a sheep's foot or some different blade. You guys who are the blade experts can let me know in the comments what this officially is, but it's basically a Wharncliffe shaped blade. It's great for slicing. It's a full flat grind. It's going to be great for slicing. It reminds me a lot of a Spyderco blade, except longer. It reminds me a lot of like the thickness of the Sage, just a bigger blade. I think that this is a really good win of a knife, being 2.8 ounces and having you know, almost no, just doesn't take up any space in your pocket. It has almost no area in your pocket that is taken up. You're probably going to forget you have a knife on you if you don't think about it. Whether you were going to be wearing, you know, dress slacks and they're tight on your legs, and you don't want to be showing that you have a knife, this is going to be great. It's extra thin. It's extra small. It takes almost no room in your pocket. If you're wearing, you know, elastic waistband pants, that heavy knives might pull them down a bit. You don't need a belt for this knife. It isn't going to pull your pants down. You can wear it with your PJs. You can wear it with your basketball shorts. Wear it with your swim trunks. You know, CPM MagnaCut. Wear it with your swim trunks. I'm not bringing this knife to the beach, but there's no reason you couldn't. It's a MagnaCut blade. It is a great feel, and it having almost 3 inches of effective cutting edge on the 3.3 inch blade. It's a medium-sized knife. It's not a huge knife, but it's not like a compact blade. You get a compact carry size. This is like almost a subcompact carry size. It's not quite like a Dragonfly by Spyderco, but that's definitely not a 4-finger knife. This is a full 4-finger grip. I get my whole hand around this knife, and there's some, you know, handle sticking out. And I have a full amount of blade to use. I've been using this knife at work on the construction site, and it's no problem. I don't run out of blade. It is slicey, it is strong, and I feel like I have a substantial knife in my hands. This is, you know, not a small amount of knife. I don't like much more than 3.5 inches to begin with. So having 2.97 inches of cutting edge and 3.3 inches of overall blade length, it's right in the sweet spot for me. But as we're going to see when I compare this to different knife sizes, you're going to see how small this knife really is. All right, guys, let's compare this knife to some of our favorite knives. And we'll start out with the Golden Designworks caliber. Look how much different this is, you guys. Look how much different in your pocket this is. And this is not a big knife in your pocket. Honestly, for how big this knife is, once again, it's not very big in your pocket, because this is a gigantic blade knife. This is a bigger blade than I normally like to carry. But it's just, you know, one of those designs that Golden Designworks has that they don't carry that big in the pocket. Now, we open her up, and we're going to see that the caliber is much larger than the Slim. Right? Just obviously a much bigger knife. It's a bigger knife experience. It holds bigger in the hand. There's a whole lot of knife in my hand here. There's a whole lot of blade out in front of my hand. If you want a bigger experience, you know, caliber's a great knife. I gave it a stellar review. It's a home run. But if you want a subcompact, compact knife that still does the job of a much larger knife, this caliber is where it's at. And if you look at the effective cutting edge of these two knives, man, it really isn't that a whole lot of difference. It really isn't. There's just a little bit of blade right here. That's the difference. Like, that's really remarkable, guys. Like, you're getting almost as much cutting edge on this tiny little thing as you are on this big thing. It's pretty rad. So comparing it to the traditional and always awesome, big fan, Spyderco Para 3. It's a little bit longer than the Para 3, much narrower, much shorter than the Para 3. We have the Paramilitary 2, the PM2. It's a little bit shorter than the PM2, a little bit longer than the Para 3. But if you look at the blade edge, you're getting more blade edge than on the Para 3. Not quite as much as the PM2, but man, it's pretty close there. You're getting just about as much edge as the PM2. And if you look at these knives, look how much smaller this thing is. Look how much more compact it is. I guess it's not smaller because it's lengthwise just as long. But do I need all this knife in my hands? It's nice. I got a bunch. I feel like I have more substantial grip on this knife. But if you look at it in my pocket, I mean, it feels silly. It feels absolutely silly. You know, like, how small is this? How light is this? It's a lot lighter than this. Now I have, you know, aftermarket titanium scales on my Para 3, so that's not really a fair comparison. But to the Screw Carta PM2 is much heavier than this knife, noticeably double as heavy, easily twice as heavy as the Slim. And you look at the amount of space this takes up in your pocket, which for, there's Spydercos that take up more space than this, guys. The Man X2 takes up a whole lot more space than this. the Para 3 taking up more space in my pocket than the Slim is. More knife on the Slim, more cutting edge on the Slim, more size in the pocket on the Para 3. That's the trade-off, That's just the trade-off. And, one of the things that I thought was so crazy about this knife, or not really crazy, but surprised me, is the knife that I found to be really the closest in size to it was not the classic Sebenza. That's a large Sebenza, but once again, let's look at it. There's a little bit more blade on the large Sebenza, just a little bit. But, it's really not that much shorter than a large Sebenza. It really isn't. Is it narrower? Heck yeah, it's narrower. Is it lighter? Heck yeah, it's lighter. Is it as nice? No, I'm not going to go out on that limb. The large Sebenza is a nicer knife, but it's, we're talking apples and oranges at this point. But what knife is actually the same size as it, or really close to the same size? And this just kind of tripped me out. The Benchmade 940 Osborne. The 940 Osborne is really close to the same size as this knife. And there's a couple different features that you're going to get on the Osborne. You're getting, different grind on the blade of the Osborne, but you're getting, G10 scales. You're getting the axis lock. I think this is an overall nicer knife than the Osborne. There might be Benchmade fans that argue with me. It's definitely not as classic of a knife as the Osborne. But when you get to overall, size and shape of the knife, these are the two knives that I found. This is the knife that I found is the most close to the Slim. So when people say the Slim looks uncomfortable. Oh, it looks tiny. Well, no, it's really actually pretty close to the 940 Osborne. I bet you're not saying that about the 940 Osborne. Is it the same when it's closed up? They're actually pretty similar closed up. They're actually really similar closed up. I didn't see this coming at all, but the Slim and the Osborne are really close in size. They are really close in size. So if you're a fan of the 940 Osborne made by Benchmade, you might just be a really big fan of the Slim. Now, which is lighter? I'm actually not sure. But remarkably, that this is a titanium framed, titanium scaled knife, and this is a G10 knife, which is always going to be, G10 is always going to be lighter than the titanium. I think it's lighter than the Osborne. I'm pretty sure it's lighter than the Osborne. I think the Osborne's 3 point something ounces, and this is 2.8. So there you go. This is the closest knife to this one, and people love this knife all day long. You don't hear a lot of smack talk about the 940 Osborne, and when you look at the dimensions of these two knives, they're really close. Are they the same shapes? Not exactly. But when you look at the blade lengths, look at the handle lengths, you look at the thicknesses, and just the overall knife, they're really close. I didn't see it coming, like I said, but it is what it is. And to all the people that I've heard on Reddit that say this looks like an uncomfortable knife, it looks like a small knife, it looks like this or that, look at this, you guys. Look at this. You're going to say the same thing about the 940? I don't think you are. And the thousands upon millions upon, I don't know how many sales of 940 Osborne there have been, but it's got to be a whole lot. This is one of the, if not the most, popular Benchmade out there. I might not be the most popular Benchmade out there. I'm not a Benchmade guy. In fact, I don't really even like Benchmade all that much at all. But I'm getting an REK reblade, and so I own a 940 Osborne because I'm going to take this blade off and put a super amazing aftermarket custom blade on it, and someday in this fall you will see this knife turn into something amazing. But for now, it has proven its point to be a really good example of where this knife sits size-wise. So in closing, you guys, I think that the Golden Designworks Slim is an absolute home run by Blaze Golden. I think that Golden Designworks, once again, knocked it out of the park. They have a knife that cuts like a medium-sized knife. It cuts pretty huge for its size, and for its weight, it cuts gigantically. It's really slicey. It's actually really comfortable in the hand. To the people that say that it doesn't look comfortable, I really implore you, go pick up one of these knives. It is a beautiful knife. I love the sky blue anodization against the smoke scales. I love the satin finish on the blade. Now, you guys can also get a sage green color, and we can get a slate color, and you can also get a stonewash finish on the blade if you like a different style. Golden Designworks always almost has two selections for each knife and each part of each knife. You kind of have one or the other. And this is the design that I chose, and I think it looks great. The scale milling is very classy. It's not crazy fancy, but it is very classy. The knife is not overly crazy looking, but it is comfortable and effective. And being at only 2.8 ounces, this knife is incredibly light. You are going to be able to use this knife in so many situations, from an everyday carry situation to anytime you need a really lightweight knife. Like if you are cruising in your basketball shorts or wearing your pajamas, or you're in a business suit and you want something that's not going to, pattern or show in your pocket. You want something that's not going to weigh down your pants. You want something that can tuck away in your purse really easily. This is the knife for you. This is a great knife. I think it's going to fit really well in people that have large and small hands. I think that people that like to fidget with their knives are going to have lots of different ways to fidget with this knife. And like I said, the Fusion Lock is always a great option for not only safety, but strength of the knife and fidgetability factor. Fidgetability factor? I think that's a word. There's multiple ways to deploy this knife. The MagnaCut blade is absolutely awesome. Best Tech, the OEM for this knife, did a great job. Once again, they've been just knocking it out of the park lately. Golden Designworks, my hat's off to you. This is a great knife. This might be the best compact, subcompact knife of the year. So far, there's nothing that in the small knife, the small carry range that I think can hold a candle to this thing. For as much blade as you get, as much knife as you get in such a small carry package, there's nothing that compares to it. This is it. This is the winner. And then the last thing is, man, Golden Designworks, you listen to your fans. You listen to the people. The one complaint that everybody had about the caliber, you couldn't slow roll with the thumb. Next knife you put out, you can slow roll with a thumb. I love it when companies listen. I love it when manufacturers listen. That is just so cool. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It makes my job easy. It makes me a happy reviewer. I give this, 2 thumbs up. My complete approval. This is a great knife. I implore you, if you're looking for a subcompact or a compact knife, you're looking for a new, smaller size knife, you're just looking for a cool new knife, go check out the Golden Designworks Slim. I don't think you're going to be upset. I think you're going to come back and say, Garrett, this was a great choice. So, Golden Designworks Slim, it's an awesome knife. Go check it out. My name's Garrett. This has been the Cutting Room Knife Review. This is the Golden Designworks Slim. Until next time, you guys, stay sharp.